My beloved Arjuna, do you know what truly drains a warrior's spirit? It's not the enemy on the battlefield. It's the poison of toxic minds disguised as friends. Many of you today are fighting battles not with swords, but with words, manipulation, and deceit. Just like Arjuna, you too stand confused, asking, Lord, how do I deal with those who hurt me but wear a smile? Listen closely, for I taught Arjuna how to rise above such people. Not by anger, not by escape, but through divine wisdom and inner mastery. Today I will teach you the same truth, how to protect your peace and keep your soul untouchable, even among the most toxic hearts. My dear friend, ever wondered why some people closest to you cause the deepest wounds? Why walking away feels wrong, but staying feels like slow self-destruction? Perhaps it's that uncle who always finds a way to criticize you in front of others, or a friend who wraps control in sweet-sounding concern. You question yourself, am I overreacting? Should I stay silent for peace? Now let me ask you this. What if your biggest emotional battles weren't with strangers, but with your own blood, your own mentors, your own brothers? Over 5,000 years ago, in the heart of the Dwapar Yuga, I stood beside Arjuna on a battlefield, not just of warriors, but of toxic relationships, even within his own family. Today I want to speak to you directly, just as I spoke to him. I am Krishna, and I am here to guide you through the same wisdom I shared with my beloved friend Arjuna. Whether you're dealing with controlling elders, manipulators, or outright narcissists, what I taught him then still applies to you now. And I promise you, by the end of our time together, you'll never look at your relationships the same way again. Walk with me. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable, my dear one. Have you ever felt guilty for wanting distance from someone everyone else calls family? Have you ever been told you're being disrespectful when you're simply protecting your peace? Have you ever felt as though you're losing your mind because the person hurting you is the same person everyone else praises? If you nodded to any of these, then you need to hear what I'm about to share. Because what I taught Arjuna wasn't just about war. It was about something far more personal, how to stand in your truth when everyone around you is calling you wrong. I see you, I see your struggle, and I'm here to light your path. In the Mahabharata, the battlefield was physical, but the deeper war was spiritual and emotional. The enemies weren't just warriors in armor, many wore the disguise of kinship and love. Think about that for a moment. Arjuna wasn't facing random enemies. He was facing his grandfather Bhishma, who watched him grow up. He was facing his teacher Dronakarya, who taught him everything he knew. He was facing his cousins, people he played with as a child. These weren't strangers with swords. These were people at his dinner table. People who knew his vulnerabilities. People who had access to his heart. And that's what made it so painful. I saw the agony in his eyes. I felt the trembling in his hands. This wasn't fear of death. This was the fear of hurting those he loved, even when they stood against everything that was right. Bhishma was the patriarch of the Kuru family, wise, revered, and committed to his vows. But that very loyalty made him blind to injustice. He stood silent as Draupadi was humiliated in that royal court. He supported a corrupt ruler because he thought his duty was to obey the throne, not stand for what was right. His toxicity was subtle, passive, and wrapped in nobility. Yet it caused suffering that echoed across generations. Sound familiar? How many of you know someone who stays silent when you're being hurt, who chooses keeping the peace over protecting the wounded? That's passive toxicity. It doesn't scream, it simply watches. And sometimes, beloved, that silence cuts deeper than any words. I had to help Arjuna see that nobility without justice is just cowardice in disguise. Then there was Shakuni, clever, calculating, and smooth. He didn't raise his voice. He whispered. He manipulated. He sowed jealousy, twisted narratives, and ignited the fire of hatred in Duryodhana's heart. This is the person who smiles at you, who speaks softly, who plays the victim so well that you start doubting your own memory of what they did. Shakuni is the gaslighter, the manipulator, the one who never leaves fingerprints on the crime scene. And Duryodhana, on the other hand, was blatant, arrogant, jealous, entitled, fueled by insecurity masked as confidence. He couldn't stand seeing others do well. Instead of improving himself, he focused on bringing others down. This is the openly toxic person, the one who doesn't hide their jealousy, who attacks you openly, who makes you feel small because they feel small inside. I watch this poison spread through the Kuru dynasty, and I watch it spread through your relationships today. These were Arjuna's relatives. This was his grandfather, his cousin, his uncle. His war, like yours today, wasn't just about action. It was about boundaries. It was about looking at people he loved and asking himself a devastating question. Can I still love them and protect myself from them at the same time? And here's where the story gets raw and real, my dear friend. When Arjuna looked at these men, he didn't just see enemies. He saw people he grew up with. He dropped his bow, turned to me with tears streaming down his face and said, "Krishna, I can't fight them. I would rather die than raise a weapon against my own family." Do you feel that? That's not weakness. That's the human heart in crisis. That's you and me when you're told to cut off a toxic parent, a manipulative sibling, a draining friend, and you freeze because it feels like betrayal. I held Arjuna in that moment, and I hold you now. I didn't push him to be stronger. I simply guided him to see things for what they truly were. And that's the first powerful lesson I want you to absorb. My first teaching was about recognition. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, verse 7, I told him, "Pravritim cha nivritim cha jana na vidur asura." Those with demonic qualities do not know what to do and what to refrain from doing. I urged Arjuna to see beyond surface identities, uncle, brother, elder, and to look at action and intention. Not who they claim to be, but what they consistently do. It's a lesson that hits hard even today, doesn't it? When someone constantly undermines you under the name of tradition, that's not love. When someone says they care, but their care makes you feel small, suffocated, or scared, it's not care, it's control. I asked Arjuna to look beyond personal ties, not with hatred, but with clarity, and to stop justifying toxic behavior simply because it came from familiar faces. Stop calling poison medicine just because it's handed to you by family. And if this is hitting home for you right now, if you're feeling that knot in your stomach because you finally have words for what you've been experiencing, do me a favor. Show your support for this message by hitting that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if these ancient truths are helping you see your life more clearly, consider buying a coffee for the creator of this channel or giving a super thanks. It helps spread this wisdom to more souls who are suffering in silence. Your support amplifies the light. Now let's continue walking together. One of my deepest teachings was about detachment, not the cold kind that cuts you off from the world, but the courageous kind that says, I can care about you and still not let you destroy me. In chapter 2, verse 48, I told Arjuna, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyakva dhananjaya. Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. What does that mean in the context of your toxic relationships? It means you don't react out of anger or revenge. You respond with clarity. You don't play their game. You hold your ground, and you do it with grace. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop letting their chaos become your identity. It means you love them from a distance where they can no longer wound you. Picture this, beloved. A family member who constantly questions your choices but insists it's just concern. A colleague who praises you in meetings but slowly poisons your reputation behind your back. A friend who demands loyalty, but only on their terms. At first, you might play along. You try to keep the peace. You adjust your tone, soften your truth, apologize even when you know you've done nothing wrong. You tell yourself it's not a big deal, that they care, that it's just their way. But over time, it starts to wear you down. You feel smaller, less sure of yourself, more anxious around people who were supposed to be safe. I see this pattern repeat across lifetimes, across ages. That's when the questions begin to shift from, why are they like this, to why am I still allowing this? And that's where my wisdom quietly enters. Not to tell you to start a war, but to help you come back to yourself. You start to observe. You stop explaining yourself to those who only hear what they want to hear. You speak your truth simply and clearly. You don't fight louder, you step back stronger. Maybe they still test your boundaries. Maybe they push harder when you don't play the same role anymore. But you don't need to resist or retaliate. You stay rooted, calm, steady. Because in the Gita, I didn't ask Arjuna for hatred. I asked for clarity, and that's all I ask of you now. Here's another truth I revealed to Arjuna that will shake you to your core. In chapter 3, verse 36, Arjuna asked me, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha. Krishna, what is it that drives a person to commit sin, even unwillingly, as if by force? And I answered him, Kama esha krodha, esha rajoguna samudbhava. It is lust and anger, born of the mode of passion that compels them. In other words, my dear friend, toxic people are often driven by their own inner wounds, unhealed rage, unchecked ego, deep insecurity. They hurt you not because you deserve it, but because they are hurting inside. And here's the liberating part. Once you understand that, you stop taking it personally. You stop thinking, what did I do wrong? And you start realizing, this isn't about me. That realization is freedom. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it releases you from the prison of self-blame. You see them clearly. You see their pain. And you also see that their pain is not your responsibility to fix, especially not at the cost of your own peace. This is where boundaries stop feeling like cruelty and start feeling like self-respect. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing yourself. And I made it clear to Arjuna then, and I make it clear to you now, choosing yourself is not selfish. It's survival. It's sacred. It's your dharma. Now let's talk about the most misunderstood lesson in the Bhagavad Gita, the concept of dharma. People think dharma means duty, but it's deeper than that, beloved. Dharma means alignment with your true self, your truth, your soul's calling. In chapter 3, verse 35, I said, Shreyan swa dharmo viguna, para dharmat svanushthitat. It is better to perform one's own duties imperfectly than to perfectly perform another's. Let me translate that into your everyday life. It's better to live your truth messily than to live someone else's expectations perfectly. Read that again. It's better to disappoint others while honoring yourself than to destroy yourself trying to please them. This is not rebellion. This is remembrance of who you truly are. So many of you are living paradharma, someone else's version of who you should be. You stay in toxic relationships because that's what good children do. You accept disrespect because that's what keeps the family together. You silence your pain because that's what strong people do. But I am saying to you now what I said to Arjuna then. No, your first dharma is to yourself, not to your ego, but to your soul, to your peace, to your truth. And when you honor that, even the people who criticize you will eventually respect you, or they'll remove themselves. Either way, you win. Either way, you rise. Either way, you come home to yourself. Here's where it gets even more powerful, my dear one. I didn't just teach philosophy, I taught action. In chapter 2, verse 47, I said, Karmani evadikaras tema phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. What does that mean when dealing with toxic people? It means you do what's right. You set the boundary, you speak the truth, you walk away if needed, and then you let go of the outcome. You don't wait for them to apologize. You don't need them to understand. You don't require their validation to know you did the right thing. You act from your center and you release the result to me. That's the ultimate freedom. Most people stay stuck because they're waiting for the toxic person to change, waiting for them to see the hurt they caused, waiting for an apology that may never come. But I am teaching you, stop waiting. Do your part. Protect yourself. Speak your truth. And then move forward. Let karma, let time, let the divine order handle the rest. Your job is not to fix them. Your job is to free yourself. And the moment you accept that, everything shifts. The burden lifts. The fog clears. You breathe again. Let me tell you what happened after my guidance to Arjuna. He stood up. He picked up his bow. Not with hatred, but with clarity. Not to destroy his family, but to protect dharma. He fought not because he wanted to hurt them, but because staying silent would have destroyed him and everything righteous. And that's your calling too, beloved. Not to wage war on toxic people, but to stand firm in your truth, to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing for existing, to stop letting guilt keep you chained to people who don't deserve unlimited access to your heart. Stand up, pick up your bow, the bow of boundaries, the bow of self-respect, the bow of divine truth. Some of you watching this right now are on the edge of a decision. Maybe you're thinking about limiting contact with a parent who belittles you. Maybe you're ready to end a friendship that only takes and never gives. Maybe you're preparing to leave a relationship where love has turned into control, and you're scared. You're scared of being called selfish. You're scared of the loneliness. You're scared that maybe you're the problem. Let me tell you what I would say to you right now. What I said to Arjuna in his darkest moment. Mashucha, do not grieve. You are not wrong for wanting peace. You are not weak for needing space. You are not a bad person for choosing yourself. I am with you. I have always been with you. If there's one thing I want you to take from our time together today, it's this. Toxic people will never give you permission to leave. They will never validate your pain. They will never say, you're right, I was wrong. You should go. So stop waiting for that moment. Give yourself permission. Validate your own pain. Trust your own truth. I didn't wait for Duryodhana to become good. I helped Arjuna see reality and act accordingly. That's your power now. See clearly, act wisely, move forward bravely, and know that I walk with you every step of the way. Now I want to challenge you, dear soul. Pause for a moment. Think of one toxic relationship in your life. Just one. Now ask yourself, what is one boundary I can set this week? Maybe it's saying no without over-explaining. Maybe it's not answering that call. Maybe it's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, commit to it. Write it down. Say it out loud. And then do it. Not perfectly, not aggressively, but clearly, firmly, lovingly to yourself. And when you do, know that you have my blessing. Know that you are walking in your dharma. And here's the beautiful part. Once you set that first boundary, the second one gets easier, and the third. And soon you're not the same person who tolerated disrespect. You're not the same person who carried everyone's emotional baggage. You become someone who knows their worth, someone who protects their peace, someone who loves deeply but wisely, someone who, like Arjuna, can stand on their own battlefield and say, I choose me. I choose my truth. I choose my peace. And in that moment, you don't just honor yourself, you honor the divine within you. You honor me. Before we close, I want to leave you with one final shloka, one that I hold especially dear. In chapter 6, verse 5, I said, Udare atmanat manam natmanam avasadayat, atmaiva hi atmano bandhur, atmaiva ripuratmana. Elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself, for the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. You are your own savior. You are your own liberator. No one else is coming to rescue you from toxic relationships, but you have everything you need within you. The clarity, the strength, the courage. You just need to choose it. You just need to remember that I am already within you, guiding you, loving you, supporting you. If this message resonated with your soul, don't just watch and leave. Take action. Subscribe to this channel so more of my wisdom can reach you. Ring the bell. Share this with someone who's struggling in silence. Comment below and tell me, which lesson touched your heart the most? Was it recognition, detachment, boundaries, dharma? Let's build a community of awakened souls who are done suffering in silence and ready to reclaim their divine peace. And if you want to support this sacred mission of sharing ancient wisdom for modern healing, buy a coffee for this channel, give a super thanks, or simply share this video with one person who needs it. Every act of support sends ripples across the universe. Remember, beloved, you are not Arjuna alone on that battlefield. I am within you, that voice of clarity, of truth, of courage. It's me, speaking through your own heart. You just need to listen. You just need to trust. You just need to act. The war isn't out there. It's within. And the moment you win that inner battle, the outer world has no choice but to shift. So go now. Set that boundary. Speak that truth. Choose yourself and watch how everything changes. I am Krishna, and I am always with you. Now go reclaim your peace, beloved warrior. Jai Shri Krishna.